I think there are a lot of things you can do. I think one thing that has helped me, which I feel like we don't learn in church often, is having honest moments with God. And we, for whatever reason, have this misconception that to acknowledge that something hurt us, that something disappointed us, that God disappointed us, or that God made us angry somehow means that we don't have faith. And I just would like to dismantle that. Like, it's not true. We serve a God who is all knowing. And if I keep showing up in moments with him and I'm upset with him and I'm not voicing that, there's no space for him to heal it, right? There's no space for him to say, hey, I know you feel like this, but let me show you how I did cover you. And let me show you where I was at in that space. Let me show you how I know you felt like you were alone, but let me show you where I was. And let me show you how I did this thing. And I know you didn't really understand it, but how this thing connected to this thing to help you get out of this space. And so I think the biggest thing I've ever done to help me move past discouragement was be honest with God. I was in a moment where I moved to LA and I was disappointed with God. I was disappointed in the fact that I feel like, hey, I followed you into something and it caused me a lot of hurt and it caused me a lot of pain. And so while I'm now saying, all right, I'm believing God to give me a job, I wasn't really all the way fully believing him, because there's a part of me who feels like it's never going to happen. And then there's another part that feels like if it does happen, the bottom of it is probably going to fall out. And so because I was not confronting that with Christ, I wasn't allowing him to heal it. And so it's like, I want to exist with him, but I'm not really being honest. And being honest with God, who is all knowing, which means he already knows how you really feel, and you keep showing up front and like you don't feel the way that you feel, is counterproductive. Like, it doesn't get you anywhere. And so I think I would wholeheartedly say, like, have an honest moment. Like, I'm always telling like my friends and my mentees, like, feel how you feel, just don't stay there. Like, don't live in it, don't dwell in it, don't let it become a part of your identity, because sometimes we do that as well. But what I'm saying is, like, feel how you feel, be honest about it. It'll make you a better person because you choose not to acknowledge your feelings. That's stupid. Like, you're disappointed with God, you feel like, hey, I feel alone out here. I feel like you told me to move across the country and I'm by myself. Like, what are we doing about that? And open up your heart enough to be like, how does someone grow in intimacy with someone? They're vulnerable and they're open and they share the things that they wouldn't necessarily share. And I feel comfortable sharing with a guy who already knows. Like, he's just wanting me to invite him in that space. And then I think too, like I said this earlier, like, remember what he said, when life contradicts it. You know what I'm saying? Like, discouragement usually comes because things aren't happening how we think they should happen, or in the timing that they should happen in, or in the way in which we expected them to. And that's usually where discouragement and disappointment come in at. So I would also ask you to surrender your plan. Like, at the end of the day, when I'm following God, it's not going to happen the way I want it to happen. It ain't going to look like I want it to look. It's not going to happen in the timing that I think it should. And I think when I recognize that he's the one that's in control and his plan surpasses any plan I could come up with, then I can take it a little bit more. I can keep fighting because I know that if he said it. Now, that's the thing we got to start checking. Did he really say the thing that I'm waiting on? Because we got a lot of disappointment and discouragement around some stuff he never said. And so you probably wonder, he probably ain't showed up because he never said that. And so I think when you think the Lord said something, test it by his character. Can you find an attribute in his word that applies to what you said he said? Because, like, telling you that somebody else's husband is your husband, that ain't the Lord. That's Satan. You can't be mad, because some people be coming up with some crazy stuff talking about the Lord said, and don't even align with who he is. Like, what? And I think, like, in my situation, I chose not to walk away from Jesus because I understood that what I was experiencing did not align with his character. So I knew he had nothing to do with it. And so there was like this hunger and this desire and like this, like, wanting to be near him all the time. Because I'm like, hey, bro, without you, I ain't gonna make it through this. But I know you ain't the one who did this, so I can, like, press into this. But then once I made it through, there was a conversation we had to have about, hey, when I really sit and think about it, I only was here because you told me to be here. And I feel like this is your fault. You know what I'm saying? Like, I had to have a real conversation with him. Like, and we have not been taught that. We've taught we got to grit and bear with stuff that hurts us and breaks our heart. Like, I can't take Jesus my pain. And that don't make sense to me. That's not the kind of God he is. He says he's near to the brokenhearted, but not if I'm out here trying to act like my heart ain't broke. What does that even mean? He's a gentleman. He said, I stand at the door and knock. He needs you to let him in. And that means letting him into every part of you, the broken parts, the parts that hurt, the parts that are full of pain, the parts that are full of disappointment and anger. It's okay that you feel that way. It's okay that you feel that way towards him. But open up and let him in that so he can heal that. And so he can correct that. He can shift your perspective and let you know, like, man, even though it hurts you, I'm right there making sure that you don't got to walk through that alone.
That is so good, because there's a saying that Jesus can't heal what you don't choose to reveal. And then the most intimate person I've seen in the Bible is David. So this whole stigma.
And David laid it out. He laid it all out, okay? He said, I am this and I am that. Because you please, Lord, search my heart. Search my heart. Expose it. Open it up. And it is true. Like, they had the most intimate relationship. And it wasn't because David was perfect. He was actually the opposite of perfect, okay? He was a murderer. He was an adulterer. He was bad. He was really, really bad. And it didn't change. God said he's a man after my own heart. Like a man who was as bogus as David was, God identifies him as a man after his own heart. He carried the heart of the Father, as bogus and as broken, as jacked up as he was. But they had an intimate relationship because David understood at the core, like, Lord, all I need is you. And I know I'm bogus, but please, like, whenever he would do something, he would follow it right up with, I'm so sorry, God. It's what kept him close to the Father. And so I agree, like, never feeling like something is too much for it. He's God. He's God.
And then, like, you see what he wrote in Psalm 56, verse 8. It says, you keep track of my sorrows. You collected all my tears in your bottle. You have recorded each one in your book. Mm-hmm. But like you said, we have this culture, like, you gotta fake it. You got, how you feeling? I'm blessed and highly favored. No, you're not. You cried all last night. You're not. Your blessing might be on its way. But let's be honest, how you feel. But what I realize is people got trust issues. But people need to realize that Jesus won't use the information you've given him to blackmail you, to make you feel bad. Because that's what happens. You tell your friends, and then now your friends are gossiping about you behind your back. So I think people need to just realize, like, Jesus will take it and give you and hold your hand through it. Because sometimes we forget that God is willing to hold your hand.
And he'll make an exchange. Because the reality is, whatever you feeling, he already handled that. But it's like me taking it to him acknowledges that he's Lord over all. Even my pain and my emotions and my frustrations and my disappointments, like, he'll make an exchange. Like, you give that to him. It says, I'll give you mourning. I'll turn your mourning into joy. Like, all of that. Like, he makes an exchange with us. Like, because you weren't built to carry that. And he carried it for you. So give it to him. But the more we take on is why we suffer with things, because we feel like things are too much for God. He is a God, like, and he already knows. He's just waiting on you to invite him into that space so he can heal it and he can shift your perspective of how you see things.
Thank you for watching this video. If you want more content, subscribe over here and watch the next video over there. God bless you.